The hot or cold question for IU is IU will finish with a winning record in the Big Ten this season. I think that's cold. They haven't done so since the 2015-2016 season. That is the pre-Archie Miller era. And honestly, there's a lot of uncertainty in the 2020 season. Will some of these younger guys be able to step up? Will they be able to get their shooting woes under control and back going the right direction? We've already seen, how the coronavirus and stuff has affected college football and that kind of thing. So there's some things that could get in the way that way. I mean, obviously it could happen to any team, so that's not something to hold against IU. But at the same time, there's just a lot of different variables that are at play, a lot of moving parts. And so especially if it's just a Big Ten schedule, I don't think IU finishes above 500 in the Big Ten. And so we'll see, if they're able to, what will happen if they're able to, fit in their schedule of non-conference foes. But yeah, as far as Big Ten play is concerned, I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I agree. I do think this is a cold take. I think they will be close again, but it will be interesting to see how the top half of the Big Ten performs. Obviously, people are very, very high on Illinois and Iowa and Michigan State, as always. And surprisingly, Wisconsin. I guess I shouldn't be surprised about Wisconsin. Wisconsin was the co-Big Ten champs last year, which totally surprised me. I'm a Big Ten guy, and I follow the Big Ten. But when that happened, I was like, wait, what? What? Wisconsin was co-Big Ten champs?
And they were actually scoring too. It wasn't the Bo Ryan 39-37 finals.
Right. Well, I mean, I didn't watch Wisconsin. I'll admit, I didn't watch Wisconsin's games too much. The one game of theirs that I watched was Purdue absolutely curb stomping them in Mackey Arena. So that's right. I saw that and I'm thinking, wait a second, that team was a co-Big Ten champ, but they're up there. And then there's always some teams in the Big Ten in the middle of the pack in the back half that overperform.
Well, I mean, Rutgers has even got high regards this year. I feel like
Rutgers has a lot of returning players. Don't be surprised. That team I feel like is a tournament team as well. But so I think this is a cold take mostly because what their schedule ends up looking like, and also to use your argument from last week on or a couple weeks ago as to why IU could beat Ohio State in football with the lack of a home crowd and home field advantage. Well, that's going to work against IU in basketball and not having the home court advantage with Assembly Hall rocking. Now, unfortunately, Assembly Hall has not been totally full for most games here in the past few years. So we'll see. But that is a difference maker there as well. You're not going to have the craziness, and I mean, I'll admit it. That's also going to affect Purdue,
absolutely,
big time. Probably more so Purdue than it would IU because Mackey's one of the toughest environments in college basketball. But yeah, I think this is a cold take because there's just a lot of uncertainty with their team, a lot of uncertainty with how the other teams in the Big Ten are going to perform. And then how is the lack of a home court advantage going to affect them?
So that gets us into hot or cold for Purdue. Now, I was trying to think of possibly a question that would trigger you, B. Scott. I was like, should I ask, after Purdue, didn't play as well last season in the Big Ten, is Matt Painter on the hot seat? Or do I? No, I know he's not. I was trying to make you mad, B.
That
Scott.
would be a horrible question. We don't know the answer to that.
Well, and then I was like, well, wait, do I do what I did last year and predict Purdue to finish in the NIT? But no, so this is the question I've got for you, B. Scott. It's not going to trigger you. But it is Purdue will finish in the upper half of the Big Ten this season. I think that is a hot take. Fansided had their ceiling as the number 4 team in the Big Ten and a Sweet 16 team, with their floor being the 11th seed and an NIT bid for them. And I think they'll split that. I think they will be about that mid-pack. Now, CBS has them at 8. I do think they should at least be above IU at 7, if not above Rutgers at 6. I think that it'll be kind of in between those predictions that you saw earlier. I think they've got a lot going for them, and they're bringing back a lot more. And then again, like we've said, Coach Painter is just just has his team, knows how to dial in his team and does things the right way. So I'm really excited to see what Purdue can do, but I do think that's a hot take. I think, will it be a season like what we've seen typically in the past where they make a run at the Big Ten championship? I don't know. But I think they are going to have a good year and be kind of in that upper echelon, between that 6 to 8 range in that upper half of the Big Ten and and definitely be an NCAA tournament team.
Yeah, I think this is a hot take as well. I feel like I said, I feel like the leadership has gotten better. Matt Painter's gotten a hold on that with his team, and they're going to play more consistent. I think they're going to be a much more athletic team than they have been recently. They're going to have more shooters once again, which is key. Last year, it was really Sasha Stefanovic. You were expecting Aaron Wheeler to do big things, but he just had a dud of a season. I feel like he can only go up from where he was last year. Let's be honest. And I feel like he will. I think he's going to rebound. From what I'm hearing, he's playing a lot looser. He just was playing really tight last year. He had a lot of high expectations on himself, and I think he's, coming around to, okay, let's really let's just go out there and play. And I think you're going to see some moves from him. But if Purdue can find the shooting touch that they had the past few seasons outside of last year, they're going to be a tough team to beat because obviously it's a Matt Painter team. Matt Painter teams don't make big mistakes. They play sound defense and they move the ball consistently. And if you have several shooters out on the court at once with a scoring threat inside like Travion Williams or potentially Zach Edey, that is a tough matchup for teams. I do think Purdue has an opportunity to finish in the top 4 or 5 of the Big Ten. But you're right. Their floor is potentially, I don't think it's as low as 11th. That's pretty low.
Well, and I think that's just based on the fact that the Big Ten is deep, like we've talked about before. Right. The fact that you have, the team that's 10th is not a bad team.
No. It's the Big Ten, let's be honest. The Big Ten is some of the class of basketball. But I think their floor is probably about where they're preseason predicted at CBS, probably about 8 or 9. And I don't know if there's even going to be an NIT.
Probably not.
But honestly, I do think this is a tournament team. They are a lot more talented than people are giving them credit for because they are a young team. Nobody really truly knows what they're going to look like. But you never know with Purdue. That's the thing. 2 years ago when they won the Big Ten, Carson Edwards last season, you got to remember, this was a team that started the season off horrible. They got blown out by a bad Notre Dame team. It looked like this team was destined to go nowhere. And then they got on a run in the Big Ten conference play, ended up winning, or I think they held the Big Ten that year. I think maybe with Michigan State. I can't remember, but they won the Big Ten championship and made that run to nearly the Final Four. So like I said, you just never know with Purdue. That's what's fun to watch about them. And I don't know, we'll see, but I think they are a team that will definitely finish in the top half of the Big Ten. I can say that because if you finish at 7th, you're in the top half of the Big Ten.
Yeah, now looking at the hot or cold question for Notre Dame, the question is Notre Dame will finish above 500 in the ACC. They're projected by CBS to finish 12th. And I think that's a cold take. I think they do finish under 500. I think it is going to be a gauntlet for them. There's too many question marks. Losing Mooney will be just too much for them. And I think, do I think they're going to be terrible? No, but also, especially if it's a league-only schedule, with no kind of relief to go against, get into a rhythm against some of those, cupcake teams.
They do have a non-conference game against Purdue.
Okay.
It's the last year of the Crossroads Classic, I believe.
But yeah, so I just think it's going to be, like I said, projected to finish 12th out of, 16, teams. It's going to be a rough go for them this year. I think it's going to be a definite learning year. There's, if they can get some players to step up, on that roster, then I think they may be able to do fairly well. But I just don't see them being an above 500 team in 2020.
Yeah, I agree. This is a cold take. I mean, they were last year. They were 20-10.
No, I mean in the ACC.
Oh, in the ACC.
Yeah, they were 10-10 in ACC play.
You know, yeah, it's a cold take. I think they could finish at 500, to be honest. But Virginia is going to be much better. I mean, Virginia is not going to be this a down team like they were last year. Florida State's always really good. Miami's going to be better. Duke is Duke. North Carolina is North Carolina. Louisville's Louisville. Syracuse has an opportunity to be better as well. So it is going to be a tough gauntlet for them, just like it has been in the past. So, yeah, I do agree. This is a cold take. I don't think Notre Dame will finish above 500. I'm hoping for 500 for them.
So that brings us to hot or cold. The Butler Bulldogs are an NCAA tournament team. I think that's a hot take. Now, currently, they're picked to finish 9th in the Big East by Sports Illustrated. They were left off of ESPN Bracketology. ESPN Bracketology had 5 teams from the Big East in, and they were not projected as one of those 5. There are uncertainties with the teams projected ahead of them, though. I mean, looking at the CBS ranking, they're ranked 7th. But again, it's one of those situations where the teams in front of them also have question marks. You know, Providence has to replace talent. Marquette has to replace talents. A couple of previews have Xavier in front of them. There you have a lot of question marks. And yeah, so does Butler. But I do think that the addition of Jair Bolden does give the team a shot in the arm that they can capitalize on in the post Baldwin and McDermott era. So I think they do capitalize on that and, do sneak into that, 5th or 4th spot. Now, one big kind of wild card in this season in the Big East is the fact that UConn is back, which kind of gives, the Big East kind of that old school feel, which I'm happy about. UConn's in the right spot now. I feel like, it was kind of weird not seeing UConn in the Big East, so I'm glad they are back. So now, and I will say this, we talk about some of that Butler magic, but the magic that Butler has been able to show here recently is against some of the top teams, especially Villanova in the Big East. So they've shown, over these past few years that they can contend with the top of the Big East. I think they do. Yes, they lose some big talent, but they get some big talent in this year. So I think that it's going to be good enough to slide in there. Now, are they going to be, a highly ranked team? Are they going to be a highly projected team in the big, in the big dance in the NCAA tournament? Probably not. I mean, they're probably not going to get past, the first or second round, but I do think that they are an NCAA tournament team.
Yeah, I agree. This is a hot take, mostly because if they just put together a solid record and pass the eye test, they could make it just based on their conference alone. I mean, the Big East is a tough conference to play in, and I think that's having to run through that gauntlet itself will help them get prepared for tournament time. So yeah, I think they have the opportunity to make the tournament just solely based off of the conference they play in. If they just play well enough. It's all you got to do is you just got to play well enough, get into the tournament, and then who knows what could happen.